Before I came home, James told me that all these things was gonna be available to me when I touched down. And the day I touched down, I had like 25, you know, 26 guest appearances at between 17, 5 and $20,000 a pop.
I said to Pimp on that day, you know what I mean? Because I understood, how people try and like handle, all of us that was coming from the South. I said, if y'all need me for anything, don't hesitate.
I planted a seed and I let them know, I said, man, if y'all need anything, y'all can't be with me, but if you need anything, I'm here.
The legendary group UGK formed in the late 80s in Port Arthur, Texas, as a port city outside the city of Houston. UGK is known for their funk, soul, and gospel-infused instrumentals that underlie the personal trials of everyday street life that they lived in the South. Chad Pimp C. Butler, born on December the 29th of 1973, and Bernard Bun B. Freeman, born March the 19th, in 1973, would tell these stories. The group went through 2 early transformations before becoming UGK. Unbeknownst to many, Mission Impossible was the first group name, which consisted of Chad Butler and Mitchell Queen, aka Big Mitch. UGK signed with Jive Records in 1992 and agreed to a 5-album contract after initially being signed to Big Time Records. Their major label debut, Too Hard to Swallow, came out that same year and featured a few songs from the Southern Way and several new songs. After their leap in success, UGK began to experience some challenges. Their album Dirty Money was stalled due to disagreements between UGK and Jive Records on what type of sound the album would have. Jive Records was more interested in the commercial viability of the album rather than the authentic sound of UGK. If you know anything about Pimp, you would know that this didn't sit well with him at all. These are the details of what took place before, during, and after the secret agreement between J. Prince Sr. and Pimp C. In 2005, after almost 4 years in prison, the legendary rap star Pimp C became a free man just before noon on December the 30th. Pimp C, one half of the acclaimed Texas duo Underground Kings, aka UGK, was released a month after he was granted parole. Pimp served about half of an 8-year sentence on an aggravated assault charge since his incarceration in January of 2002. Free Pimp C was a rallying call that was initiated by Bun B while Pimp was incarcerated. Pimp C, whose real name is Chad Butler, was sentenced after falling behind on community services required after he pleaded no contest to an aggravated assault charge. Pimp was charged after brandishing a gun during an argument with a woman in Georgetown Mall. Several people waited for Pimp outside of the TDCJ's wall unit in Huntsville as he spoke with them for about 10 minutes before leaving. Pimp, originally from Crowley, located to Port Arthur at a very young age. Ironic enough, Pimp had just turned 32 the day before he was released. The country rap tune creator has sold over 1 million records since 1992 from 5 major label releases as a part of his group UGK. In March of that year, Houston-based Rap-A-Lot Records released Pimp's album, The Sweet James Jones Story, created from a series of freestyle raps Pimp had did years ago. Not happy at all with the album, Pimp will call the pre-recorded body of work subpar. Despite this, the album still debuted at number 3 on the Billboard Top Rap Albums chart. Unbeknownst to many, Bun B, who had signed to Rap-A-Lot before Pimp's release, allegedly made empty promises about Pimp signing a deal with J. Prince's label. It was this compiled with the fact that Pimp felt like Bun hadn't done anything for Mama West while he was incarcerated that would put a strain on Pimp and Bun's relationship. Pimp C, who had spent the latter part of his sentence at TDJC's Terrell Unit about 35 miles south of Houston in rural Rosharon, was transferred to the Walls Unit earlier the week of his release. Pimp's newly found freedom had given him an entirely different outlook and approach on life.
I'm gonna say this too, you niggas out there think this shit is cool, but it ain't cool. Me and this man ain't never been butt naked in no room together with no
Despite many opportunities to do shows all over the state, Pimp would refuse to do them because of his differences with Bun. Upon Pimp's release, the red carpet will be rolled out by J. Prince Sr. of Rap-A-Lot Records. Money, clothes, cars, and jewels.
Remember, we went straight to the Rolls Royce dealership and got him set up and got him all the ice put on it. And, you know, he was talking shit the whole way. And, yeah, he was being Pimp.
This old shit here, if I wasn't rapping, I'd still be doing this old shit here, you know. This ain't nothing but materialistic, you know. Knowledge is power. I'm about making some money, man, you know. Put this shit together, we get some real paper. Coast to coast. Man, I'm trying to move to Hawaii. You know what I'm talking about? I'm trying to get away from these scrubs. Yeah. I'm talking about going out there and, you know, shit, fucking around with them boys at the Rolls Royce lot. We ain't playing, you know. Yeah, already.
This red carpet treatment would allegedly spark envy for Pimp behind the scenes. Onlookers, it would seem that J. Prince was showing favoritism towards Pimp. Some would even speculate that J. Prince had indebted Pimp to him for personal gain, i.e. signing to a Rap-A-Lot contract as an artist in a group with UGK, and that Bun had already signed. However, none of this was true at all. Instead, the real truth was that J. Prince hadn't purchased Pimp a new Bentley or new jewelry at all. The Bentley was actually a lease that Pimp had to carry the $1,300 a month note lease on. J. Prince had pulled some strings, but the whip wasn't paid for by the slightest. Exotic Diamonds, located on Westheimer, owned and operated by Emmett the jeweler, had actually opened a line of credit for Pimp per the instructions of J. Prince. What that means is the jewelry hadn't been paid for in full at all. Pimp also had to carry a monthly payment with Emmett for the jewels. Like the old saying goes, everything that glitters is not gold. A lot of the shit is just smoke and mirrors. Don't get it twisted. Every single piece of jewelry that Pimp owned wasn't on a payment plan. Only some of the new shit and a couple of the items that he received when he was released from prison. Unbeknownst to many, at the end of the day, Pimp had made an agreement with J. Prince to accept these tokens of appreciation, but would, however, be solely responsible for bearing financial burden that came with them.
From the KBTV studios at Parkdale Mall, this is your hometown news at 6.
Good evening, Southeast Texas. I'm Jim Walker.
And I'm Sheldra Brigham. Up first tonight, thousands came out to pay their final respects to rap artist Chad Pimp C. Butler. Among the hundreds in the crowds were loved ones, fans, and well-known names in the music industry.
33-year-old Butler was found dead in his Hollywood hotel room on December 5th. The cause of death is still pending. But today was about remembering Butler and his contribution to music. KBTV4's Raquel Duncan begins our team coverage live from the newsroom with more on today's service. Raquel?
As hundreds came out to say their final goodbyes to Butler, they say his memory will forever live on.
Tuesday, a hearse carried the casket of Chad Pimp C. Butler into the parking lot of Port Arthur's Bob Bauer Civic Center. Moments before, it was carried inside by active pallbearers, including Butler's son, Chad Butler II, and Bun B.
I gotta come pay my respects to a pimp, you know. Grew up on his music, you know, before 92, since them boys was way back in the game, you know. Without Pimp, there's no Bun. Without Bun, there's no Pimp. The boys a duo like Batman and Robin.
About 1,800 people packed the center. Among the speakers were Jeff Sledge, who asked the mayor of Port Arthur a question. Mayor, I don't want to put pressure on you, but the next time I drive down here, I hope I can drive down Chad Butler Boulevard. Mama West, Butler's mother, spoke on behalf of the family, saying, "From the bottom of my heart, I'm all right. You're all right, because he's all right." The mayor also paid her respects, holding back tears. Many say Butler spoke highly of his hometown.
He loved it. He always, every record, every album, he mentioned Port Arthur. He's a hometown hero, as you see by the turnout today. He's a hometown hero for Port Arthur, Texas, and he put this town on the map.
It's still UGK for life, so we're gonna definitely, all these people out here, we're gonna definitely make sure we represent it.
As hundreds lined the streets while the body of Butler was taken to his final resting place, many say he lived his life cut too short to the fullest.
When it comes to naming a street sign after Butler in Port Arthur, the mayor did not want to comment at this time. Butler leaves behind a wife, 3 kids, mother, and a host of other relatives. Reporting live, Raquel Duncan, KBTV4.
All right, thank you, Raquel. And as we just saw, several well-known rap artists were among the hundreds of fans that bid farewell to Pimp C.
And despite their celebrity status, stars and citizens alike faced heavy security at the Civic Center. KBTV4's Erica English continues our team coverage with that part of the story.
At the request of the family, security was in full force at Chad Pimp C. Butler's funeral Thursday.
We're searching all purses, metal detectors, just for the main thing, cell phones with cameras, stuff like that.
Everyone wear proper funeral attire. They don't want any type of cell phones, any type of recording devices, things of those nature inside the Civic Center.
Port Arthur Police Lieutenant Martin Blitch says only a few days after Butler's death, law enforcement agencies began planning for the security, including Groves and Port Neches police, the DPS, Jefferson County Sheriff deputies, and constables. The FBI provided backup and placed marksmen on the roofs of nearby buildings.
This is not a show. This is a respect for a gentleman who has passed away, and we want everything to go orderly.
Well, we didn't know what the magnitude of the crowd was going to be, and everything was safety precaution. We wasn't expecting any trouble, but to react if we did have any trouble.
Jefferson County Constable Eddie Collins worked closely with the family to plan the funeral, down to the smallest detail. The fans were allowed through the front entrance. The family, including close friends rappers Bun B, Mike Jones, and Chameleonaire, went through a side door. Officers say it was important to keep security tight, not only because some of the famous people attending, but because this was one of the largest funerals in Port Arthur's history.
But they got so many of his fans who want to see him, who bought every album, but they can't get in.
And celebrities were no exception, as one was almost turned away.
They ain't letting us in. They say we ain't dressed right.
However, Webby was eventually allowed in to pay his respects with other artists such as Bun B, the other half of the Underground Kings, and Mike Jones.
Oh, man, I had to show my respect, man. Pimp C brought me in the game,
Houston rapper Chameleonaire says Pimp C's talents will be greatly missed in the hip-hop industry.
Man, it's just his personality, man, his spirit, his soul. Like, there's nobody that can duplicate that.
Touched everybody, so I just wanted to come out to get that support because he's definitely a true famous player, so I'm here for him.
Butler's mother, who's affectionately called Mama West, hopes her son's legacy will live on through the music of other artists.
He's going to leave a legacy that's going to be very positive, and we're going to continue it, and, we're going to try to keep the torch going,
Carrying the torch for the other artists inspired by the talented Port Arthur native. Erica English, KBTV4, Port Arthur.